Yes, sir.
and compliments to very distinguished panelists. So we need to understand the larger game. You are asking a military-oriented question to me,
Mm-hmm.
and the answer to that is yes. In any such kind of covert operation, if a regime change has to be undertaken, if the leader is to be captured alive, then it is a special kind of an operation. Before the capture, they have to make sure that all the air defense command, control, communication, intelligence, surveillance, computer, and there are a host of Cs, they all have to be neutralized. So let me highlight one aspect that before such kind of operations are undertaken, the kind of a hybrid operation or irregular operation would have been undertaken from the open source that I have gone through since morning today.
Mm-hmm.
The Americans, they have American forces, they have successfully and effectively carried out cyber and electromagnetic attack. When I say cyber, they have disrupted the computer network inside Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they have disrupted the electromagnetic communication. What it means is that if the electromagnetic communication is disrupted, then the air traffic control in an airfield cannot control the aircraft which is already airborne, nor can it communicate with the aircraft which is about to get airborne. This is a small example I'm giving you. When the communication system gets disrupted in a country, the president is totally cut off. He doesn't know what the vice president is doing, what the country, the chief of the army staff, or the leaders of military as such. Venezuela doesn't have a big army. It has got just about 1 lakh odd population. Colombia has got a largest kind of approximately 3 lakh armed forces people. But what I'm trying to bring out is it is quite natural. The bigger thing that should actually concern us is superpower America as the leading, call it by any name, declining power or superpower by any name. Is it setting an example before the rules-based international order in 21st century? Is this to be accepted by anybody in the world order? Shouldn't the world ask questions to this country and Donald Trump particularly that is he doing a right thing? If he's doing, what is his hidden agenda? We need to talk and deliberate and debate in such kind of panel discussions. What is it that is looking for? America is in thick soup as far as the economy is concerned. $38 trillion of US debt, meaning 127 to 130% of debt to GDP ratio.
That's right, and global oil supply chain has also been hit. Let me also bring in Surinder Singh Laliji as well. Uh, Sir, please help us understand what happens from here on, because this is not about drugs or democracies. This is just, US sending out a message to China and Russian, regimes that they need to stay out of Trump's backyard. And also the Monroe Doctrine also that was, inculcated here. It was, when it was formed back in the 19th century, it was only for deterrence, but this time it was a direct, assault.
Thank you, Deepak. It's a pleasure and honor for me to be here. And Major General Sudhakar, you said the right word, the hidden agenda. I mean, it is anything but kosher. Let's understand one thing. My unscientific study tells me that from post-World War II, America has done almost 17 indirect or direct regime changes, right from China to Bangladesh being the latest one. So is Maria Corina Machado going to be the next Muhammad Yunus? We don't know. Yes, this is America's payback time to China for the rare earth that agreed. We slept over. We were in a slumber state. Well, 80% of the world's rare earth is controlled by China, which has been how China's been getting back to the United States. So United States gets back. They say, we understand that you buy a lot of your oil, 80% of the oil from Venezuela goes to, China. So this is America giving back to China and telling them that please stay away from our backyard. I mean, if drugs is the issue, then 80% of the cocaine comes from Colombia and the fentanyl chemicals which come from China through Mexico. So that is only a red herring. It's all about America's convenience to create dictators because then they can do a single window clearance. Deepak, I used to be in college in the first year, and I still remember that this is exactly like a Manuel Noriega 2.0. Because, it was so cold in New York, and all I could do was simply watch TV. So that has pretty much gone into my, my bones. I mean, United States did exactly the same. Noriega was removed from power in Panama by U.S. military invasion in December 1989. That's when I started college, and leading to his surrender. Lo behold, on January 3rd, the surrender happened. And what's the date today? The 3rd of January. After surrendering, Noriega was flown into the United States, convicted, imprisoned, eventually serving time in the United States. This is what they're also going to do to Maduro, who's going to appear up in some court with a sham trial till they plant Machado, so that America, Washington, from the Capitol Hill and the power corridors can conveniently control. Can you believe that for bin Laden, they had 25 million bounty, but you know how much for Maduro? 50 million dollars. So this is a lot to do with energy, with geopolitics, and not much to do, because this is a violation of the United Nations Charter, and nor does the American houses, the Congress, have approved this. So
That's right.
attacking
And
Iran,
since you also spoke about the UN, let me also ask Rabinder Sachdev about what the UN can really do here.
Oh, thank you so much. UN can do nothing, period. Right. I mean, the UN Security Council, there are 5 members there. Okay. Even if China or Russia bring any resolution, US will veto it. That's it. So the UN can do absolutely nothing in this case. Now, another aspect, of this whole saga which is out there, when Laliji was talking about Norego or Panama, he took refuge in the Vatican embassy in Panama, okay, for a few days before he ultimately surrendered. Now, in this case of Maduro, reports are there that the American forces, whichever were on the ground, they blocked the access to China, Chinese, and Russian embassies so that Maduro could not go over there and claim diplomatic asylum, okay, immunity and asylum. The other thing is that
I'm
they've
really sorry
captured
to
him.
interrupt you here, but we have some big breaking news coming in now. Washington has taken Maduro's case to U.S. courts. Maduro and his wife have been indicted in Southern District of New York. This is the latest that's tumbling out from Washington, D.C. as far as Maduro's extraction is concerned. And now what we understand is that Maduro has been dragged to the U.S. courts. He will be facing a trial on U.S. soil. Mr. Rabinder Sachdeva, we saw a case of Noriega as well. He was a U.S. asset. He was a CIA ally during the Cold War, but later he was also tried in a very, very similar fashion. In fact, Maduro is being tried in a very, very similar fashion. If you could, shed more details about what happened back then in Panama and what's happening right now, the similarities.
I mean, no, there is a difference also, by the way, similarities. In Panama, the US had considerable amount of, land forces which went into Panama. If I remember correctly, over 20,000 of such troops, I think that was the number. So that's a major difference between what happened in Panama and what's happened with the case of Maduro. Here, it's a much more clinical thing. Go in, sweep in, swoop out. The other thing which I wanted to mention was that, they've taken his wife also with him. And the reason is that Maduro's wife is a member of parliament of the National Assembly in Venezuela. She's a smart lady for the last 10 years. And it said that she is also brains behind Maduro. So to leave her or to just take Maduro would have implied that she could have been there. She could have mobilized political opinion in favor of Maduro. So that's the other thing, that why the wife has been taken. At the same time, as you're saying, yes, the case against Maduro has been lodged, I think, yes, in the Southern District of New York. So the case will be, heard out there. The trial will be carried out there. And the bounty, as I think Mr. Laliji said or General Sudhakar said, has been fixed at $50 million. So he will be tried. The case against Maduro is that he is being hauled up for a conspiracy to import cocaine into America. There could be other elements also, but I think the larger case is that a conspiracy to smuggle in cocaine, I think it's mentioned cocaine, or they could add fentanyl also now, into America. And that could lead, we don't know, to the charges which could end up, 20-year jail sentence, 30-year jail sentence, locked and stored away.
That's right. And General Sudhakarji, if you were, asked to probably shed light on the operation, on assumption, how many forces, how many US forces would have been used? And we also know that a V-50 chopper and an Apache were deployed for airstrikes. If you could draw a brief picture of what could have really happened in the extraction process. General Sudhakarji, your audio has been muted. If you could unmute yourself.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. To my understanding, they had substantial quantum of the naval fleet along the Caribbean Sea. But what has come on ground is what is to be accounted for at the moment. Subsequently, I'll elaborate if time permits. First and foremost thing is that there were CIA modules who were inducted into Venezuela, the capital Caracas, sometime maybe a month and a half back in a clandestine manner. The CIA module, their job was basically to infiltrate into the inner core of security system of Maduro. And Maduro, to my understanding, had three layers of security. One is the closest, the SPG, the special guard who are very close to him and his family. The second is the intermediate layer. The third is the outer orbit as far as the inner core. And the Russia had provided the Wagner Group to provide all the three layers of security to Maduro. CIA job was to penetrate into the system and make the people in these layers of security dependent on them so that they get into a process or ecosystem of trusting each other, thereby elicit or extract information, and so that Maduro could be isolated.